Hello and welcome back to another video on Empire of Sin. Today we are continuing the boss spotlight series that I started. This is episode 2, and so let's get into it. Now, Salazar Reyna is an interesting boss. I will get into his boss ability a little bit later. Empire bonuses, he has 2. He has a brothel, an ambience cost minus 20%. It doesn't really help us out, especially as I personally don't really upgrade that often. Casino has a 10% plus draw as well. Again, it's related to casinos, so anything related to casinos is generally quite good. So we're going to get a little bit more money from our casinos when we have him. And in his diplomatic bonus, he has Headhunter. He gets a less threat bonus when he's killed another boss. So it means that the other bosses aren't necessarily looking to come after you kill a family or two, which could be a good thing. It means you can kind of play the game at your own pace. Just before we get into the rest of this boss, don't forget guys, if you enjoy, learn something new, or just find this video entertaining, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss out on more episodes in this series and other videos about Empire of Sin. Now the stats are what matters, and Marksman is only 66, so his Marksman really isn't that good, so he's probably best to be paired up with a machine gun or a submachine gun or a gun that fires more than one bullet. That would be my kind of, unless you're going to put something on him that kind of increases his Marksman, I would kind of steer towards a submachine gun for him, to be honest with you. Melee is not too bad, it's 73. The next 3 stats we're going to look at is Intimidation, Leadership, and Persuasion. Now, all of his stats are kind of low. These stats, as I mentioned in the last video, are all to do with your dialogue choices and events that kind of pop up during your gameplay. Unfortunately, all 3 of his are kind of low, meaning you're probably going to fail and not going to be able to do a lot of those skill checks surrounding that. Of course, you can upgrade them. They can get a little bit better through in-game choices or things that you buy on the black market, for instance, and you can kind of pop into your little armor slot. But in general, they're kind of low stats. The initiative is pretty good actually on 70, and that is all about where you're going to pop up in the battle list. So when you start a battle, the higher that is, the further up the list and the sooner you get to take your shot. So that's actually pretty good. The movement is really good on 7. 7 is actually the max you can have, and means that basically you can move 7 steps and still have 1 AP left to, you know, do some kind of action, or 13 steps in a straight line if you're just going to go and, you know, you're not wanting to actually attack that turn. So 7's actually a really good number, and of course he's got a defense bonus of 5. Next up, we have traits. That's actually something that I overlooked for a long time during my playthroughs and time playing this game. He has an interesting one. He has one called Trust No One. Now, if I was standing somewhere else in the world, my actual base stats would change because of Trust No One. I get a +1 movement, +10 initiative, +10 marksman when there are no friendly characters within 10 meters of me. Now, on paper, that sounds really good, and this boss could be a candidate for doing a solo run. However, it says no friendly characters, which means all of the rackets that you get as well, if you happen to be passing a street with a guard in, that will also affect those stats. So for me, I really don't like this one. It doesn't really help you at all, and having a gangster is kind of fun, so I really don't like this. However, he does have a trait that I do like, and that is hair trigger. His hair trigger is a 100% chance to activate hair trigger whenever a person's HP, whenever his HP, or an ally's HP drops below 25%, and there's a chance that you will lash out. And you can do a number of different things. You can use any weapon that you have equipped. You could go around healing people, and you could even start throwing grenades around and stuff like that. Hair trigger is a great trait to look out for in bosses, and especially good to look out for in gangsters. So, it's kind of a redeeming factor. And again, moving to another trait which I really don't like, but it's loner. So his marksman actually decreases by 2 for every friendly character nearby. So if you like hiring a lot of gangsters, and you hire, say 10 gangsters, you're kind of running around with a full squad, your marksmanship could decrease rapidly, which means you need to make sure that you have a lot of kills, which with whatever weapon you're using, to actually be proficient with it. Next up, however, we have our perks. Now, he isn't a healer either, which for me is a problem. I do like my bosses to be healers. He does, however, have Lifeline on tier 2, which I would strongly recommend anyone getting, because Lifeline can seriously save your game sometimes. In tier 3, he has Axe Throw. That's probably the one I might steer towards. However, if that would have been Knife Throw, for me that would have been so much better, because a Knife Throw only consumes 1 AP, where the Axe Throw consumes 2 AP. So it's kind of one of them. I don't particularly like any of his... I don't like the tree that he has, unfortunately. He does, however, have a good tier 5 perk, and that's Kill Chain. Kill Chain is a great perk line. Perk to kind of pick on any boss you have whatsoever, and can just devastate if you manage to get it. Of course, it is a very late game perk. And lastly, I guess we should talk about his boss ability. Normally the boss abilities are very, very strong. Reyna's isn't all that, unfortunately. Basically, he has 2 pistols that he whips out, and he shoots everyone that is kind of around him. He'll shoot every single person once. The problem with him is it's not a guaranteed hit, not a guaranteed crit, and you do only shoot them once. It's really hit and miss, unfortunately. One of the good things about it, however, is that it recharges after 3 kills. So it's kind of one of the, especially since all the boss abilities got nerfed, it's one of the very few that actually allows to use quite often. Now, if you're up against the thugs right at the beginning of the game, you can go around to all those loot crates with this boss and just absolutely devastate, because you can recharge it super easy. It will probably take out a thug in 1 hit. But when you start attacking racket guards, and when you start getting into the bigger battles, his boss ability is just almost useless. If you're going to use him, because he does use pistols, I would strongly recommend giving him a good pistol and kind of leveling up that skill. Because if you do level up his pistol skills, then there are added perks that you can get that will kind of help his boss ability get a little bit better. Now, I know for a fact that worked with Daniel Jackson, that when you used a better pistol, that would increase his boss ability, so I can't see why it wouldn't for Reyna's as well. Unfortunately, Reyna kind of got the short straw when it comes to bosses in Empire of Sin. There are a lot of cool bosses, but Reyna, for me, he just isn't up there with the best of them at all. He even has one of the worst unique weapons in the game, which you can obtain by either killing him or through his story mission, and that is the Silencer. So don't forget to comment down below your thoughts and comments on this character. Is he one of your favorites, and have I just completely dished, your favorite boss in the game? Or do you agree with me? Let me know down below, because I'll be really interested to find out what you guys think too. But until next time, guys, thank you for joining me in this series. We're going to be doing another one really soon. I hope to see you then.
I like it, Stephanie, but it's a tough game. Not everyone can win.